be moving through this and getting everybody up here, listen to what they have to say. What I'd like to make one announcement though is I did send out some bad information on the location of the football game, and just in case anybody didn't realize it, but the game is tomorrow and it is at Centerville High School. So I want to get that correction just on the books for everybody, so we don't have anybody show up the wrong place. Starting with the inductees this evening, first up I'd like to introduce Coach Mike McCall. Mike began coaching at Alter in 1975, and in 1977 he moved to St. Charles to coach CYO football. Coach McCall was also instrumental in establishing the South Dayton Catholic program as a result of the CYO program in 1985 dissolving. Currently, right now, Coach McCall coaches at Opponents High School, and I'd like to introduce Mike McCall.
Well, thank you, everybody, and certainly thank the committee for me. That was great to find out that I was going to get an induction this year. So that was very nice. As you can tell, it's getting to the point where I better get inducted this year, or maybe I'm going to be inducted, humorously as a so anyways, but thank you so much, and it's great to be here. And like everybody has said, this what a wonderful school this is. I went to Chaminade with Jim Seeley, who's back in the back there, and we had great things going on down there. But when I got up here and found out that there was new life in Kettering, Ohio, I couldn't believe it. So I moved over on Malone Avenue, just a block away on the other side of East David over there. And I was on a street that was pretty interesting because I was the cheapest guy there. I only had 3 kids. All the families on that street had at least 6. And I mean, you think about, 14 houses times 6? That's a lot of kids. But that's what has made Alder great, I think, is the fact that they get so many good kids here. And it's just, I'm coaching now young men, at least I was. Let's put this back 3 years ago. I was coaching young men that I coached their dads. So that's a pretty nice situation when you think about it, that it just keeps evolving, the rotor just keeps going around and good players come up. And I'll tell you what, I think every coach in America will tell you the same thing. If you get great players year after year, you'll get inducted into the hall. It's one of those things where good players make great coaches. So about Pontiff, just a little bit. I moved down there a couple years ago. I played football at the University of Dayton with Jim Place. Jim Place is kind of a renowned coach in the Southwest Ohio area, if not all of Ohio. And a very interesting time down there. I will say this, it is totally different from being at Alder High School. So if you can imagine, most of our kids are really great kids, they're good athletes, but unfortunately their home life is just a wreck. And so that's one of those situations where Jim Place has a group every year that he brings coaches in and friends in to sit down with these kids and talk to them at a round table. So there's 8 kids at your table. And I have to tell you the truth, and I don't want to leave you on a bad note here, but I have to tell you the truth. 3 or 4 of these kids, you say, well, tell me about your mom and dad. Well, my dad's in jail. My mom isn't home very much. And that just goes on and on and on, and so it makes you cry. But what Jim Place is doing down there is a wonderful, wonderful thing, so I'm very proud to be part of that. I did want to leave you with one cute story. I don't know if you know, but there was a guy that played here at Alder. I think his name was Jeff Graham, something like that. And I think he went on to play for the Bears and the Pittsburgh Steelers and maybe a couple other teams. But anyways, we're all out there one day out here on the grass practice field on the other side of the pack. And Craig Turner, I was trying to help with the linebackers. Craig Turner was coaching the defensive backs. And so Coach Domsites was actually running his passing game. I know you won't believe that, but he really was practicing his passing game. So anyways, we're out there and throwing the ball, and Jeff Graham is playing defense for us. So Jeff gets over there, and one of the receivers, I don't remember who it was, comes down, and he catches the ball right in front of Jeff and goes on into the end zone. Well, it was sort of a non-contact drill anyway, so nobody cared. But I know Ed kind of picked his head up, and Craig Turner ran over and standing right next to me, and he's chewing Jeff out. He's, Jeff, how could you didn't even come close to that. You just let that guy catch it. And Jeff said, okay, so he goes back. They go back to the huddle. They throw another one. He reaches up, probably about 7 or 8 feet off the ground, grabs it with one hand, comes down, runs a couple steps, runs over to Coach Turner, hands him the ball, and says, how was that? So that's my story. Thank you very much.
Okay, second up this evening is Coach Chris Roark Sr. Chris coached at Alter for 16 years, 6 of the years as head coach. While he was at head coach here, he was 37 and 24. Currently, right now, Chris coaches up at Fairborn High School. Chris.
I was saying to Dr. Swin, this is kind of intimidating, to tell you the truth. The talent, the class that's gone through this school in a relatively short history in 1962 is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm also glad that we brought it back into this cafeteria. I know you guys, players, you sit here every day. You're probably ready to go home right now. And I understand that, but take it from some of these old guys, we would all like to be sitting back in those chairs if we could. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to take in what some of these guys have to say. You know, I want to start off with some thank yous. I've led a blessed and charmed life. I've had 2 parents that have supported me in everything that I've ever done. Until my dad's passing, every sporting event that I participated in or my kids participated in, they were there. Now, of course, my dad didn't want me to play because he's afraid I was going to get hurt. Coach Domsites might not believe this, but I was a pretty well-behaved kid growing up. And you were allowed to spank back then, too. I know you know that. And so I would go ahead and take a grounding or a spanking whenever there was a football game going on in the neighborhood. And so I guess my dad finally decided, well, this must be pretty important to him, so I'm going to let him play football. Which partly explains why I remember and can kind of appreciate one of our other inductees, Matt Riazzi, who forged his dad's paper so that he could play football. And we're at Middletown High School, and he breaks his arm. And Coach Domsites had to explain to Carmen what the hell Matt was doing playing football at Middletown when he thought he was at open gym at Alder High School. And obviously that worked out pretty well for Matt. Would also like to thank my beautiful wife, Cammie, of 31 years. She has basically spent her whole adult life around me, either playing football or coaching football and taking care of 3 boys who play football, who happen to sit in those very seats, by the way. And I'm looking back here and I'm thinking, and again, you know, Coach Domsites would always say, relax, coach, relax. This should be the most fun time in your life. This should be the best time in your life. And looking back on it, he was right, and it was. And I'm looking out at Tom Ailey and Tommy Meyer, and I think Timmy had to leave and go somewhere, and Rick Willits and Paul Howe. And I'll tell you, I'm envious of those guys. They have coached or are coaching here now. They've had the opportunity to coach their kids here, and they've also had the opportunity to wear the brown and gold. That's pretty, when you know, Coach McCall's talking about a legacy and how Alter perpetuates itself, that's pretty good. And I'm sure when their kids have kids, their grandkids will come here and play football at Alder High School. And that's, what a legacy when you think about it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'd like to thank the committee. I guess my question would be, what the hell took you so long? No, I'm only kidding. I'm very humbled and appreciative of the fact that I'm even up here. Again, with all the people that we'll hear tonight, from the people that have gone. I was being interviewed for our upcoming game. The reporter said, well, I see you spent some time at Alder. What was that like? In a word or two, could you sum that up? And the first word that popped in my brain was blessed. Blessed to be here and to be a part of this is truly amazing. Not only going in with this group of men, but the group that have gone before me. The coaches that I've had the privilege to coach with. Pat Connor, Hall of Fame. Dave Ember, Hall of Fame. Larry Masters, Jack Ward. All these men, well, with the exception of Larry, coached on the staff when I was here. And, you know, I know we have to keep this short, but I got to say at least a couple things about these guys. So Connor, I know Connor Bazelak is out there somewhere. So Pat Connor's job was to keep me calm on the sidelines. I have a tendency to get a little bit excited from time to time, and so Coach was going to be up in the press box, and he's going to make sure that he was on the headsets with me. Calm down, calm down, calm down. We were playing Elder, and Timmy Connor, Elvis, who took off a minute ago, he catches a pass, and he's racing down the sidelines, and I hear this in the headset, and I look up, and Pat's hanging out in the press box. Go! Go! And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to fall out of the press box. Well, I found out why he didn't fall out of the press box, because Tom Haley was up in the press box, holding on to the back of his shorts, keeping him from going over the head. Is that not true? And he was supposed to keep me calm. Dave Ember, talk about a class person. And I've said this before, probably as much as anybody in this room, I'm up here a lot because of Dave Ember. His knowledge of the game, his loyalty, his patience with a young coach was just exemplar. And I learned so much football from Dave Ember and really how to go about your business. Right? We'll talk a little bit about two things that should never be taken away from you is your attitude and your effort. Keeping a positive attitude. The man certainly exemplifies that to the ill. Jack Ward, you've all heard Jack Ward stories. I hope we're keeping Jack Ward alive in this institution. These guys that played over here can remember when Jack didn't think we were tough enough, so we went all out contact on the asphalt. Coach Domsides had to go in the office and explain why that happened, why his team was practicing in the driveway. Our first game, and this might be hard for you guys to believe, I think when I took over, we had lost 4 in a row, 5 or 6 to Fairmont, and we find ourselves in a ball game. It's the fourth quarter. It's 4th and 1 at midfield, and Coach Ember and I, we're huddled up. We're going to concoct this exotic play to get a yard to keep the ball, and it probably involved handing it off 3 times, laterally it backwards, throwing it sideways, and then going down the field. And here comes Jack down the sideline. Roark! We are going to punt the ball, aren't we? And I just said, punt! and you know, it's a good story. It's a funny story, but it talks about his, you know, he's not going to embarrass a young coach, right? But in a Jack Ward, which all these men up here know, way, got his point across, and the footnote helped us win the ball game. Those guys, I consider them not only colleagues, but personal friends and mentors, really, for me. And Rick Willis, he was half right. When I found out that I made it in, Rick said, well, you're in because of the guys you coached. Well, that's half right, because there's a lot of them in here. The other half is because of the guys that I coached with and the guys that helped coach me when I was a young man. Coach Domsides is included into that group. He's not in the Hall of Fame only because he turned it down. Because Coach Domsides was unanimously offered to be, or represented to be in the inaugural class. He'll probably be in the Hall of Fame in the whole state of Ohio, not just Alder High School at some point in time. But to his credit, his class, he said, that's not right. This inaugural class should be the guys that laid the groundwork, that forged the way for Alder High School to become what it is. And that really stuck in my mind, even you know, after the fact that I'm gone from here. You can always learn lessons from this man, and all of these men, as I said, are mentors to me. You guys, again, we take for granted sometimes the people that help us. So my first little commercial or message would be, guys, thank the people that have gotten you to this point, whether that be your parents, guardians, coaches. You can't do it alone. You got to have help, you got to have support. Take the time to thank those people that have helped you get here along the way. So what I'm thinking, what can I contribute to this group? And I was thinking about, you know, telling stories and things of this nature, and I came across a piece by Nick Saban about the ands or buts. And he was telling his guys, look, when I coached in the NFL, we would be in the war rooms trying to decide who we're going to draft, who we're going to get. And they talk about these guys' tremendous athletic abilities and their 4.40 times and their 400-pound bench presses. He said, but inevitably the conversation would always go back to and or but. Tommy Smith, wide receiver, Kent State, 4.40, great hands. And he stayed after practice his entire senior year to help the young guys learn the offense. Brett McDonald, quarterback, Notre Dame, 89% passing efficiency, 37 touchdowns. But he's always late to practice. He's making negative posts on social media. And he said those two words, and but, and or but, go a long way in determining at every level of how you will move forward. Are you going to move forward more easily or more difficult? Because what's going to be attached to your name, your legacy, and or but. And I say this, pun intended, guys, be ands, not buts. Right? Be that guy that's an and he's a great teammate, and he cares about his school, and he cares about his schoolwork, and he's always at practice on time. And when I think about Alder High School, that's really what I think about. It's you know, you want to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, who will drive you to be the best you can be, but will also allow you to do the same thing. Being team guys, you know, that's what this school's about. You know, we've heard some names already. We've heard, you know, depending on what era you grew up in, right? We all have those guys that we think of when we think of Alder football. Now, I'm going to be prejudiced and say I think it's the Roark boys that come to my mind when I think about Alder football. But you know, you have Jeff Graham's been mentioned, NFL, Jay Tan, Nick Mangold, Borland, one of my guys, Jerry Rudzinski. Now the Browns have broken my heart twice. They didn't draft me. I don't know why. And they cut my guy the last round. Didn't keep him on a 53-man roster. I'm convinced to this day that's why they are where they are. They're cursed. They had their chance and they messed it up. But when you know, so every program has those stars that we think about, and they're deserving to that. But what sets this program apart, in my mind, and you've got so many examples. You got examples right here. You know, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I'm gonna say Tommy Ailey. I'm gonna say Rick. I don't know where Rick went. You know, those guys, and I say this with the utmost respect, guys. I hope you understand this. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. They weren't the best players on their team. They were good football players. Rick went on to St. Joe's in Indiana and had a great career there. They played in a regional championship football game, had lots and lots of wins on their resume. But you know what? They were those and guys. They were those guys that they got it. I think you played guard at one time, didn't you? You played offensive guard because we needed an offensive guard. It wasn't about where they played. It wasn't about stats. It wasn't about even getting to the next level, which is it's a good thing. But high school football should be high school football. And you should enjoy your teammates and the time. And those guys, and Paul's up here, was before me. So he's really old, man, right? He was a little before me. The Tommy is out here. They know what I'm talking about. You know, they sacrificed for their team. Their team was first. That's what it was about for those guys. Nobody ever would steal their attitude or their effort. It's the only thing you can control. Stuff's going to happen, right? You're going to get knocked down in football. You're going to get knocked down in life. That's okay. Get back up. Life's not going to be fair always. That's a part of life. You can control your attitude and your effort. And in reality, when I think about Alder football, and one of the messages I would like to get out to you guys is, that's what separates it. All programs have stars. All programs have guys that make it up to the next level. I said to somebody, I'm glad that we moved this back into this cafeteria. It's a little more intimate. I get that. It's a little crowded, a little tight. But you know what? There's a spirit in here. There's a spirit in here. And you all get to be a part of that. You don't realize it right now because you're right in the middle of it. But all these men that come back, we got guys coming from Dallas, we got guys from Texas, we got guys from all over the place, coming back here to be a part of this, to share with you guys, really, because it's about you. It really is not about just these men and myself up here who are fortunate to be inducted. Right? It's about this program. It's about the connectedness of this program, of the guys that came before you guys, and the guys that will come after you guys. Some of you guys will be up here someday. Willis and Ailey, you'll be up here. I guarantee you'll be up here someday. Right? And you players, you'll be up here as well. I know I'm way over my time limit. I'm going to hurry up and get it done here. Coach is getting nervous. He gave me a signal. You guys didn't see that, right? But I got you. I'm with you. We say three things to our guys before we take the field. Play the next play. Don't look at the scoreboard. And most importantly, play for the guy next to you, right? And that can be in football, and that can be in life as well, right? Play the next play. If something bad happened, move on. You can't change it. You can learn from it, and hopefully not have that happen again ever, right? If bad things happen to you. If good things happen to you, pat yourself on the back, keep moving, right? Take the next challenge. If you look at the scoreboard, we start to lose focus, right? This instant gratification society that we live in, we start looking at the scoreboard and bad things start to happen one way or the other, behind or up or behind. We get distracted. Don't pay attention to that. At the end of the race, they'll tell you how you did on the scoreboard. And again, what it's really all about are the relationships that we forge here with each other. Play for that man that's lined up next to you. When you're tired and you don't think you can go on and it's just you, it's easy to just walk away. But when you guys call yourselves brothers, one of your brothers is down, and you look to the guy to the left and the guy to the right, they're there to pick you up. You do the same thing. Play the next play, don't look at the scoreboard, and play for each other. It's truly an honor to be standing up here. I appreciate your attention. Go Knights, and beat Carroll.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Our next inductee is Tom Belle from class 1968. Tom couldn't be here this evening because of a business commitment, so I'd like to introduce Tim Quinn, 2011 Gridiron Greats Induction.
Thanks, Greg. I didn't play football. I was on the chess team and a couple Castle player productions. I want to tell I know everybody up here, and I feel blessed and honored, and congratulations, all of you. It's a good, well, not a fraternity, but it's a good group to be a part of, and it's quite an honor. And I'm here to introduce Tom Belle, who was a year ahead of me at Alter. And this right here, this wonderful old colored photo, is Alter's first team from 1965. I was a freshman that year. Tom Belle is number 88. We'll point him out. And Greg has his picture. So Tom's a sophomore in this picture, 6'4", 215. He was the only sophomore that started all 10 games that year with possibly one of the greatest Alder teams that ever, and they started the blueprint for the success of Alder High School, and it's my honor to introduce Tom Belle tonight. So Tom was a teammate of both myself and Greg. Greg was the hardest hitting, Greg Merrill, cornerback, toughest kid I ever played with. He used to beat me up at practice. A good player, and we both know Tom real well. So Tom's one of the only, and there might be one or two other Alder athletes that were captain of their football team their senior year, basketball captain, and track team captain. And Tom had 8 letters at Alter. He was an excellent defensive back tight end. He was our punter, and in the first Battle of Kettering, is Coach Drayton here? He's not here. In the very first Battle of Kettering, when Alter played Fairmont West 50 years ago, guys, a long time ago, Tom Belle was our captain. He caught 3 touchdown passes. His punting that night kept Fairmont inside the 15-yard line. And guess who won the first Battle of Kettering? Alter. So Tom Belle was is just a great guy. After Alter, he went on, and he didn't play college ball, but he graduated from Notre Dame. He got his MBA at University of Dayton. He was a National Honor Society student, vice president of the Student Council, and he has a really successful business out in Minneapolis right now. So having said that, I promised Tom, since he's not here tonight, I talk just a minute or two, not 17 minutes, just a minute or two about the Alder family. And then I asked Tom, I said, Tom, are there, just a quick stories like, Tim, I don't have any. You get the introductory prerogative. You can tell one of your stories. So I'll tell that real briefly. So part of the Alder family is everybody up here. It's the class of '74, sitting there with Tim McVeigh and his group. And Tim's father, John McVeigh, was my coach at UD, along with Mike McCall. And Tim, your dad, is one of the best people I've ever met. And the entire Alder family, young men, this is what it's about. These are the gentlemen that you look up to. They paved the way for all of you. And I think about, we finally have an Alder grad with a Super Bowl ring. Does everybody know who that is? Joe Tooney. And we also have, talking about Timmy, again, Tim's son Sean, and this is part of the Alder family. Sean didn't go here, but he's now the head coach of the LA Rams. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? So going back, just bear with me a second, athletes. So 50 years ago, let's go back 50 years, 1967. Alder plays Fairmont, first Battle of Kettering. And I'm thinking, if Greg and I were sitting here and Mike Conway, and this was 1967, and somebody got up from 1917 and was talking, I'd say, man, that guy's old, he's ancient. I mean, that's like a World War I veteran. And nobody here is that old or remembers that. Coach Domsites. No, we're not. But to be part of the Alder family is tremendous, and there's a lot of pride in that. So finally, one quick story. It's a Quinn story, and it involves a college football Hall of Fame coach and Frisch's big boy. So when I was a senior at Alter, I ended up playing at UD because of Tim's dad. I loved him. But Woody Hayes was after me pretty hot and heavy when I was a senior. So they had just beaten USC and O.J. Simpson in the Rose Bowl. It's January of 1969. I'm getting recruited, and one day I'm home in the winter, January. I have a little touch of the flu. I'm in my pajamas and bathrobes, and the doorbell rings, and I'm the only one home. My mom's teaching in the Dayton Public Schools. My dad's at work. My older brother's a freshman at UD, so I answer the door. It's Woody Hayes with a bag of Big Boy sandwiches. Oh, jeez. So he comes in, and just to go back a minute, he stopped at Alder early that day to talk to me, and they said, no, Timmy's home sick. So he said, what does he like? And one of the secretaries says he loves Big Boys. So I'm sitting there with Woody Hayes in my bathrobe, a big boy here, a big boy there, eating, and I'm starting to feel better. I'm eating these Big Boys. And Woody's talking nonstop about, beating Southern Cal, winning the national championship. And so he looks at me, and I've got coleslaw coming out here, and he said, Tim, do you have any questions? I said, Coach, where's the ketchup? So finally, Tom Belle did send something, and it's my honor to introduce Tom as one of our inductees. And he wrote this to me today. He said, Tim, the only thing that I'd add beyond the big boy comments is that I hope the young men on the team today take advantage of their opportunities, the same opportunities that you and I had. The opportunity to learn teamwork, camaraderie, discipline, and the determination that competition brings. Those are the real benefits of playing the game together, and those are the benefits they'll carry with them the rest of their lives. To Tom Belle, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Our next inductee is Jim Ehrensberger from 1974. I'd like to introduce Jim Seawee, 2015 Gridiron Great, to do an introduction to Jim.
Thanks, Greg. Prior to 1973, we had two Hall of Fame Big Ten caliber linebackers in Mr. Hogan and Mr. Quinn. Tonight we honor a third one, Jimmy Ehrensberger. He was co-captain with Timmy McVeigh and a wonderful group of young men in the class of 74. He was our co-MVP. He was all area. He was all Southwest Ohio. He was all Ohio. But what's great about Jim and that class especially was the fact that he was a tremendous leader of men from the standpoint that he wasn't a very verbal guy, but he was one of these guys that when he hit you, there was no gaining any yards after contact when Jim Ehrensberger hit you. He was a tremendous player, and I'm going to talk about Carroll just very quickly. Against Carroll High School back then, they were our biggest rivalry along with Chaminade, and they had a very high caliber team that we were not supposed to beat. We were winning 15-14, and Jim had 29 tackles that night. And they had one last shot at it, and they were very talented. I told Jim, I said, Jim, here's what you got to do. He went on the field, he did exactly what I asked him to do. He busted the A-gap, broke up the center guard, they went on their keisters. Then two backs stepped up, he knocked them down, and he tackled the quarterback for a loss, and we won. Carroll did not go to the playoffs. We felt bad for him. So the next week, the last four seconds of his career, he kicked the only field goal, the first field goal in the history of Alter High School against Chaminade. And he walked off the field. We beat them 9-6. They were heartbroken, and we really felt bad for them too. So I'm telling you, this is a high caliber, one of the great players in history of Alter. If you could grow up to be like him, you young men, it would be an honor and a joy. I am privileged to introduce Jim Ehrensberger.
You're not going to believe what happened today. But I was coming back from up north up in Tip City, and the highway was packed, bumper to bumper, and I had to take a side street. So I go up the side street, and next thing you know, I'm at Kiowa, where Tuffy Brooks Sporting Goods is. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go in there and see if they have an Alter letter jacket. Double XL. And they did. And guys, what I'm trying to tell you, it's all about relationships, because there was a person's name here, and it was sitting on their rack for 12 years. And John and Jim there said, I want to borrow it. So they said, okay. So I called another person, they took the stitching out. Here it is. And my wife's probably going to be very upset because I'll probably end up buying it. Down in I Love Me Cave, what Tim's father, John, calls his man. Anyway, I'm going to take this. I'll try to be real quick. I really appreciate the boys being here. But there's just a couple of things. My comments really are about these young men. Obviously, I'm very honored, humbled, and very happy to be included in this great group of folks, the fraternity, the Alter Football Gridiron Greats. I'd like to thank Greg, Selection Committee, Coach Downsites, and the Alter Football Association for all their hard work to put this great evening together. I want to thank Coach Jim Seawee for his kind words, his wife Kathy, and I'm looking forward to 3 Thursdays from now, where we'll gather again on October 5th and welcome Jim into the Altar Hall of Fame. That will be a magical time for sure. I know firsthand. Last October, I was blessed, as Chris said, to be inducted into the Altar Hall of Fame. And at that time, I had my own little personal Hall of Fame. And Dr. Quinn's going to laugh a little bit about this, but I had 2 versions of the speech here to talk about. One if he was here, and one if he wasn't here. So obviously, I'm using the one with him here. But he was not able to be at that induction last October. But he's definitely in my personal Hall of Fame. Because when I was growing up, I looked at him as a role model. I wanted to be like Tim. So, again, for the young men here, there was no huddle, there were no DVDs. We had the big 16mm reels that we had to come and borrow a projector, and I just sat there and watched Tim play football. He was my role model. I studied his game film. I watched his technique. I learned how to shed a blocker. I learned how to tackle. But most importantly, I learned how to win with class from Dr. Quinn. So I'm so happy you're here. So tonight I wanted to share with the boys just 3 things, 3 takeaways. Number 1, be a great teammate. Number 2, be prepared to overcome adversity. Number 3, and most importantly, be selfless. When we go through the Hall of Fame induction, you do a lot of different things, and one of the biggest highlight for me was speaking to the student assembly. And a lot of you guys remember that, hopefully. It was great. And we talked a little bit about Google. If you remember that, Google searches. So I had to use Google to do some research for this. And just to give you guys an update, today, Google processes over 3.5 billion searches per day. That's with the B, 3.5 billion. So I go to Google and I ask the assistant, I said, how does football explain life? And what happened was this book comes up called How Football Explains America by Sal Paolantonio from ESPN. It's a great book, a great read, we all should read. But it includes all these quotes from a number of different coaches. One is Tom Coughlin, 2-time Super Bowl winning head coach. Let me quote him about what it's like to be a teammate. Football is a game which you're totally dependent on a great many of your teammates in order to have just a chance to succeed. You can't succeed without your fellow teammates. And your fellow teammates have to have that same goal, that same commitment, and the same amount of sacrifice. Those who don't participate in this game really don't get that. In other words, if the game is important to you and you take it seriously, and you are willing to pay the price, the more of those guys you surround yourself with, you'll have the greater experience and the greater opportunity to have a bond. The word that I want to really stress is bond, and that's what these guys back here, that's what we had with our Coach Seawee, Coach Wood, and as mentioned before, Coach Jack Ward. What you guys have today is a strong bond. What we had 40 years ago was a strong bond, but today I think that we have a stronger bond. You always heard about the Knights of the Round Table, right? You ever thought why it's round? The Knights of the Round Table sat on a round table because they were all equal. And that's what a successful team has, is nobody is the head. You all care more about the guy sitting to your right or to your left than yourself. Take that home with you and think about that. Number 2, be prepared to overcome adversity. Tomorrow night, our alma mater will be sung. Listen closely to the first line. Facing life with valor, like the knights of old. I heard that probably, I don't know how many thousands of times, but I never really understood what the word valor meant until recently. When last December, after 37 years, I got let go from my company. I had no job. Valor is defined as great courage in the face of danger, especially in battle. My knights of old back there had my back. So facing adversity on the football field, hearing Coach Seaway and the others preach, don't quit, that helped me through those tough 2 months before I landed a great new opportunity and a great opportunity here. And I keep using the word great because literally it's great. I now work with 2 great people for Great Clip Salons. And you want to talk about a success story. Ray and Clara Osterhage are back there. They have 71 salons, and the largest franchisee for Great Clips. And together, we service 35,500 customers per week. They have 3 Guinness Books of World Records for cutting the most hair. So you guys, when you need your haircut, go over to Kettering, 48, and Schroyer. Help a Gridiron Great. I'm really trying to cut this down, so, and thank God for Dr. Quinn, because I don't have to explain Sean McVay, because I'm getting to that in a minute. Last is be selfless. Every player has their own unique talents. Some are blessed with speed, some agility, and others have great strength. You're going to not be asked to play a position that you might not want to play. Danny Graham and Doug Ditzel had to step up and take on different positions during our senior year. They did it with class, and as a result, we ended up winning the entire rest of the year. If they had been selfish and thought about themselves and not selfless, the results definitely would have been different. So with that, I'd like to close with something real quick here. I'd like to thank my special guests that are here tonight. I would also like to especially thank Tim McVay, who came in from Atlanta, Georgia. He's heading right back out tomorrow morning. We always laugh about we are these co-things, co-MVPs, co-this, co-that, co-Indiana Hoosiers, and I don't know, we're also now co-college game day. Will live in infamy. We went back with our head coach, Lee Corso, and his reunion 2 weeks ago against Ohio State. That was, again, a very magical time. But there's a theme that I want to share with you guys. And Dr. Quinn talked about Sean McVay being the youngest NFL football coach in modern history. He got the job at 30, and now he just turned 31 at the end of beginning of the new year. But I stole shamelessly his theme for the Rams this year called "We, Not Me." And all their players wear this theme of "We, Not Me." And it is the common denominator for my 3 takeaways for you tonight. Seniors, you only have 7 guaranteed games left. Hopefully you'll have a long playoff run, but then your ultra football career is over. These guys sitting here in a whole cafeteria would do whatever it takes to run back on that field one more time. I know I would. So make every day remaining the best day. Play your butts off. Do not leave anything on the field. So again, I want to do one more thing here. And with Coach Willett's help and Coach Dom's sites, I'd like all the players to stand up. And I want to do a break on "We, Not Me." I want you to scream it loud enough to hear it all the way in Los Angeles, California. So let's get ready. 1, 2, 3. We, not me! I remain so very grateful. Thank you. Pete Carroll.
Let's see, I've been negligent here on, okay, next up, our inductee is Chris McMahon, class 1981. Chris was a 3-year letterman. He was the first team all Greater Dayton, and he was first team all Southwest Ohio. Chris?
Okay, hi everybody. It has been a long time since I've been in this room, and it's really great to be here. Thanks, Coach Domsite, thanks, Greg Merrill, and thanks to the Alter Football Association for inviting me here tonight. A good buddy of mine who I played with at UVA found out about this thing, and he said, "Wow, your high school must really be running out of names there." So I said, "Yeah, they probably are, I guess." Only a good friend can say something like that to you. Just real quickly, a couple introductions. I've got a bunch of family members here. Thanks for coming, James, Ellen, Karen, and my wife, Stephanie, who I just celebrated 30 years with, just a few weeks ago. And for those of you who don't recognize my little brother James, he was a student council president. You might know him better by his name Snake. So why did they call you Snake again?
I couldn't catch a ball.
Yeah, no arms, couldn't catch a football. So they called him Snake. That's probably the first time I've ever picked him. And so 30 years ago, my Aunt Sally Soleric, who's sitting right here, some of you may know her. 30 years ago, she drove 500 miles to watch me play in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. And of course, she's here tonight again. So thank you, Aunt Sally, for all your support over the years. But most importantly, I want to recognize my mom, Susie. Mom, stand up and just wave real quick. Sorry. Okay, my mom had 9 children, not 6, 9. She had 9 children, and she put 7 of us through Alter, okay? Included in those 7 are 2 captains of the football team, 1 valedictorian, 1 student council class president, and 3 daughters who all finished in the top 10% of their class. I think my mom did a pretty good job. And of course, thanks to all my coaches and teammates. We've talked about Jack Ward, Gene Brindisi, Dave Ember, thank you very much. In particular, Fred Engler, who was my CYO coach at St. Albert, who really lit my passion for football. His son, Greg Engler, who was my co-captain here and our quarterback. Thanks to all my coaches and teammates. You know, Alter and Alter's teachers and coaches prepared me very well for college and beyond, and I always look back with fondness and gratitude of my time here. Even while we were gathering here, Mr. Ember, who he and I started here at Alter the same day, freshman year. I was in his first English class. He reminded me just this evening and quoted an essay that I wrote 40 years ago in his freshman English class. So, wow. Okay, players, listen up. My sophomore year in college at Virginia, in a game against Clemson, I missed an open field tackle, and the Clemson running back went for 45 yards. In the film session the next day, it was an epic whiff. Completely missed him. Easy tackle, completely missed him. And coaches sometimes have this ability of going back and forth, and watching the play over and over and over. And my coach watched that whiff over and over and over again. You guys have probably never experienced that. Hope you never do. The next year, in the game against Virginia Tech, 3rd and long, late in the game, I was called for pass interference, and that kept the evil Hokies drive alive. And as a senior playing in my last game at Alter here, our team lost to Carroll on a last-second, highly controversial call. Remember that? The headline the next morning in the Journal-Herald read, "Questionable call sinks Alter." Do we still have the Journal-Herald? Does that still exist? Doesn't exist. I'm getting old too. So for some reason, these missed opportunities, these errors, these mistakes, are the ones that I remember the best. I certainly had lots of successes, I had lots of highlights, But it's these misses and these missed opportunities that I tend to replay over and over and over and over in my mind. I've talked to a lot of other people who do the same, so maybe that's just human nature. But I remember that Carroll game from 35 years ago probably as well as any of my college games. It stuck with me. My son Michael plays high school football in an all-boys Jesuit school in Washington, D.C. And they just recently had their first loss. As we were leaving the stadium, I overheard one of the other parents say, "Well, it's just a high school football game." And I kind of thought and nodded my head, and I said, and as I think here, I said, well, perhaps that's so. It's just a high school football game. I guess that's right. But you guys will remember these games for the rest of your lives. So leave everything on the field. Go Knights, beat Carroll.
Okay, moving right along here, we're moving up to 1984. I'd like to introduce our next inductee, Paul Howe. Paul is a contender for Tim's story about Tom Belle. Paul earned 10 varsity letters while he was at Alter. He was captain his senior year. He quarterbacked the first Alter team to make it to the state playoffs, and he also started coaching here in Alter in the 1990s. Paul Howe.
Well, hello. I've been in those seats before. I've been where the coaches are, and I know how long tonight can get. So I figured I'd nail the speech. Thank you for the award. Teased you, didn't I? Sorry. What's up, Beaver? It is really special to be here. I need to recognize my family. 7 brothers and sisters, and a couple of them are here tonight. My wife, 27 years, Terry, my sister Teresa, Fairmont grad, and my father. In all seriousness, 7 of us, my siblings, we went through St. Albert's, and we had a choice to go to Fairmont or we had a choice to go to Alter. And there was no question I was going to Alter. So we show up my freshman year. It's first day of practice. It's Monday. Hey guys, you need to keep this in perspective. There was no cell phones for the kids. There was no internet. There was no AAU. So the only kids at Alter that I knew were the ones I went to St. Albert's with. I didn't know anybody from St. Charles or Incarnation or Bishop Lytle. So practice is over. We're in the locker room. We're time to take a shower, and we're all looking at each other. So we get undressed, and we decide to leave our underwear on. We don't know any better. I'm being serious. We don't know what to do. So we're showering in our underwear. Coach comes down. He's like, "What are you doing?" So that was Monday. Tuesday, he comes down, and we're putting soap on our butt, and we're sliding across the tile floor in the shower. Well, what a difference a day makes, so we got comfortable with each other. But I can tell you candidly, some of my best friends I have to this day are teammates of mine from Alter. These are guys that are in my wedding. I was in their wedding. We share a lot of experiences together, and it's been a long time since we've been at Alter High School, but these are the friends I talk with on a weekly basis, and we keep in touch. I'm telling you right now, the guys that you chose to sit next to today are going to be some of your lifelong friends. There's a reason you chose to sit next to them today, and that friendship's going to last a lifetime. You're going to be in each other's weddings, and you're going to support each other because that's what this Alter community does. Whatever it is, and I don't know what it is, but it's special, and these kids have bonds with each other for life. So back to our freshman year, I've got a unique perspective of being up here. A player, a parent, and a coach. And I'm going to touch on all 3 just a little bit and let you get on with your night. So as a player, our freshman year, we go 0-10. We did not win a ball game. Coach Domsite shows up our sophomore year, and he's talking to us about state playoffs. And we just came off an 0-10 season, and it's hard to kind of wrap your arms around playoffs. But he instilled that on us. So we turned things around in a couple of years, and we make playoffs for the first time in school history. And I can tell you a lot of it had to do with the mindset that we had, at least my class had, believing that we could turn it around from not winning a game to get into the playoffs as seniors, and we did that. Pretty special experience as a player to make the playoffs for the first time in school history. And now you guys are just like clockwork. Don't take it for granted because it's special. I will tell you, as a coach, I probably had more success as a coach than I did as a player, because I was on staffs that went 15-0 and won state titles, and just had phenomenal records and coached phenomenal kids and great experiences, and wouldn't trade that for anything. I missed a lot of work. I'm a commissioned sales guy, but I missed a lot of work to do that, and I wouldn't trade those years that I coached here for anything. And then as a parent, I had a daughter go through Alter and a son go through Alter. Both had a tremendous amount of success on their teams. Grateful for the education I got at Alter. Very grateful for the education my kids got at Alter. It just is a really, really special place. But really, those are the points I want to talk about. It's humbling to be up here. I think I appreciate Alter more and more the older I get. I really value it more each year than I did the year before. Thanks for coming.
Okay, our next inductee this evening is Mark Ross, class of 1987. He also was a 3-year letterman. He co-captained his senior year. He made All-City, and he played in the North-South High School All-Star game. Mark?
Wow. TJ, it's good to see you. Well, a very smart man that I worked with said, be brief, be good, and be gone, and I will try to do those 3 things tonight. So, I want to thank Rick and Greg for putting this all together. This is just a wonderful class act here. I mean, when I walked in, it just blew me away. Thank you for all the volunteers. The food was wonderful. It's great to see all the men here on the varsity team. So thank you all for showing up and sitting through, watching us old men reminisce on old stories. I want to congratulate all the other inductees, and I feel very blessed that Coach McCall, Coach Roark, those guys coached me, and it's just wonderful to see those guys up here and to be part of this great group. Paul, we touched on a few years there, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. I want to thank my parents, Bill and Mary Ann Ross. My dad missed almost no games, 30 years traveling sales guy, just coming back and forth from one side of the country to another, just to see me play, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And yes, Mom, you were there too. You gave birth to me, for crying out loud. Yes, just my biggest fans, and really, it's family, and that's really what it boils down to. I want to thank my wife, Janae, and my kids, Aiden and William. My son is a freshman down at, should I even say Mulder High School down south from here. And he's got a game tonight, so they were not able to attend. But my son's like, I want to go, Dad, I want to go. You can't go. You know, you're playing linebacker. You got to make it happen. So he's down there, and it's just it's a wonderful opportunity. I also feel very grateful for the class of 1987 as TJ walks in. We've had some of the greatest players in TJ Polking, Jeff Graham, Dan Anderson, Tony Spencer, John Harkness, and Coach, my question is how in the heck did we not make the playoffs? You've been that group. It's assistant coaches, that's what he said. Well, where's Jack Ward? He's going to be running through here giving you a forearm shiver. You know, I'm sitting here listening to all these unbelievably great speeches, and I got 13,000 things going through my head. What am I going to talk about? And I guess my perspective is now that I'm a father, I've got my son who's 14 years old, and there's, I'm sure, a few 14-year-old, are there 14, any freshmen in here? They got a game tonight, that's right. And as a 14-year-old boy, and as a father, my wife and I you know, as a kid growing up, I like to take things apart. I like to take clocks apart. I would take TVs apart. It would get me in a lot of trouble. And when I would take those little parts and pieces, I would put them in a bucket, right? So that way that I could put those pieces and parts back together. And as a father, with this 14-year-old boy going off to freshman high school, he's just a bunch of little pieces and parts. And I feel that, obviously, my parents had the same feeling, turning your kid over to the coaching staff and Coach Domsites. And what he has been able to do is he's got basically 50 to 60 of these buckets, pieces of just, what am I going to do with these kids, right? And it's just an amazing thing that what Coach Domsites has been able to do for bringing all these buckets together to make it happen. And I guess it's a little bit hard to explain, but that to me is what I think is so amazing. And for you guys out there, you know, you're trying to get through this night, remember these times. I mean, like Paul said, you're sitting next to some of the greatest friends that you'll ever have in the rest of your life. You're going to be going through some tough times together, and it's really those tough times that are going to bring you together. I still get together with my group of friends every year. There's 8 of us that still get together. A lot of those same guys that we talked about. So this is really a celebration for Coach Domsites and what he's been able to do in bringing all your buckets and pieces together to be a great team. So with that being said, go beat Carroll, make it happen, and let's go win.
Okay, next up here is Bill Schmidt, class of 1993, or 1993. Bill was a 4-year letterman, started 3 of the 4 years. He was captain the senior year. He was an Excalibur his junior and senior year, and he loved the workouts in the pit with Coach Ward. Bill.
Thank you, Greg. It's an honor to be here. When I got the call, I actually thought somebody or one of my friends was punking me. I thought, you gotta be kidding me. I wasn't that good in high school. I didn't feel I was that good. I did have the opportunity to be the captain, but this is truly an honor. And I'm humbled to stand here with my coaches, Coach Roark, the guy that replaced my knee, John Sides, some of the coaches in the past, Seaweeds, Jim Stengel. I mean, I was coached by phenomenal people, and I think that led to a lot of the success. So I went to UD. I played football there for 4 years. I've been married for 17 years. I moved to Texas right after that, and I have 3 kids. All three of my kids are high schoolers. They're all teenagers, so my message is to you guys in your jerseys. So I got 3 things to say. There's a lot of success up here, right? There's a lot of success in this room. I challenge you guys to be as successful or even half as successful as the people at this table. And there's a couple ways you're going to do that. For one, my middle child, quick story, my middle child is ultra competitive. She comes home and pouts. She's a freshman. She plays on the varsity basketball team and the varsity volleyball team, and she cries still when she loses a game. I told her, you have to be coachable. Coachable kids learn better and they become employable adults, right? You have to be coachable. You have to be humble and listen to the people ahead of you to be successful. That's one, be coachable. Number 2, my mom's sitting right there, and ever since I was little, I set goals. I've set goals my entire life. And I consider myself fairly successful right now because I set goals. So I still make my kids today set goals. And I'll tell you the story on how we do that. Every year in January, we go out to dinner, and we get a napkin. Very informal. We get some pens from the bar, whatever it is, and we write down our goals on a napkin. Very, whatever they want to be for the year. They don't have to be outlandish goals. They just have to be, start on offense,
be, and they set those goals in their closet, pin it up right above their dresser, or right above their light switch, or somewhere they're going to look at that every day. If you went down to Texas and you walked in my closet, you would see my goals for 2017 on a napkin above my dresser. You'd be surprised, a grown man has goals written on a napkin above his dresser in his closet. But I do, and it's helped me throughout my career. So be coachable and set goals. Goals that you write down and look at every day. I'm not talking about goals of something in your phone or buried on a piece of paper in a notebook somewhere, but something you have to actually look at when you're walking out of the house or in the back of your locker every day. And my last is, it's been touched on already here, is choose your friends wisely. In today's internet, social media, drugs, alcohol, whatever it might be, choose your friends wisely. Some of those friends are going to pick you up when you're down, others are going to drag you down. You need to make sure you choose who you hang out with the rest of your life very wisely. You've already chose very well by who you're sitting next to today. That's going to carry on through college and life. Make sure you choose wisely. Be coachable, set goals, and choose who you hang out with. Thank you.
Okay, now just to make all these guys feel a little bit older, we're going to move into the 21st century here with our players now. Up next is Andy Swafford. Andy was a 2000 graduate. He's a 3-year letterman. He led the team in tackles 2 years in a row. He was a senior captain also. He was Excalibur his junior and senior years. He was first team all GCL, and he was a team MVP. Andy.
First, I just want to say thank you. I'm deeply honored and humbled to share a table with these men and to be here with all of you. Thank to the committee. It's amazing how interwoven all this is. I mean, I look back, I see coaches like Coach Alig that I played in 7th grade for and then on varsity. Coached me as well. Coach Willits, Coach Meyer was here earlier. Coach Salvo, Coach Ember. I was in his English class as well. I remember Coach McCall in 8th grade blowing my knee out, tearing my ACL in the last 8th grade game, and then I remember being in Dr. Quinn's office crying my eyes out, realizing how long I was going to be out. And then I remember when he released me and said you can run again, just giving him a great big hug. So it's just amazing how the Alter family just continues to be interwoven so deeply, and I think the players will appreciate this someday if you don't already. I'll try to be brief. The only thing I want to say, especially to the players, is right now, treasure this moment, cherish it. You'll never, ever have it again. But no matter how far you go in football, there's always going to be more to life. There's more to the battle to which you are called than right here. For me, at your age, when I was in your spot, I mean, football was everything. My whole demeanor, my life, everything revolved around how my weights were going, my times, my play on the field. And that continued on to my first year in college. I played at a small college, Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas. It did pretty well, made the travel squad, made the more limited 48-man playoff squad. May of my freshman year, we go over to Paris, France, and we're playing an exhibition game over there. And I break my fibula in the game. And at the time, I didn't even want to go. I wanted to get home to Ohio to train and try to gun for a starting spot. But through that, my whole identity is just now shaken. And to make a long story short, I mean, in that, I found Jesus Christ, and I found him in my Catholic faith. And I kept playing football, and I gave it everything that I had. But from that point forward, football became a metaphor for life and not the other way around. So what I would encourage you is cherish it. Cherish this moment. You'll never, ever have it again. But your battle, the battle of your life, as a man, as a husband, as a father, whatever it is, whatever success ultimately is, it's not just on the field. This is your training ground to be the man that you're called to be. So my challenge for you all is enjoy this, cherish it. You'll never, ever have it again. But this is a launching pad, a stepping stone for the real battle to which you are called. And I just pray that you'll embrace that and fight it tooth and nail as you do with your brothers right now, because this is the practice for the ultimate fight, the ultimate battle, which is for the rest of your life. Because I know people who live in the past, and it's as if the battle that they fought, the real battle was in the past, but frankly, this is a metaphor for the real battle that will always be with you at every moment that you're on this earth. So my challenge, my prayer is just think about that next step. Enjoy it, treasure it, embrace it, give it everything you've got. but realize this itself is an image of something more. That's my challenge for you all. So thank you so much for having me. I am so blessed to be with you all.
Okay, here we go again. Our next inductee is Chris Vermillion, class of 2004. Chris was a 3-year letterman. He was first team all GCL. He was first team all Southwest Ohio, and he was first team all Ohio, which I believe was at least a couple of times. He was also part of the offensive line that blocked. He blocked for Doug Peno in his 2,050-yard record rushing season. Chris Vermillion.
It's nice to be back. It's a little bit different from even what I remember, even though it's not been that long. I know I was talking with the guys up here, the nice fields you guys have now instead of the wonderful baseball diamond with all the wonderful dust and everything like that. I know all the coaches remember, but none of you guys do. And all the wonderful dust the parents got to clean out of the uniforms, which I'll start with that. Yeah, thank my parents over there. Definitely would not be even close to where I am now without them, the sacrifices they made to send me here, kind of giving me everything that I've done here, starting my career in football as well as now what I do for a living. They've definitely been a big help with that. Also want to thank my girlfriend Kelsey over there for being here tonight, even though she went to Fenwick and has to deal with this, so she's okay with it. Also want to thank my teammates, from back in the day. No, I don't really see anyone here right now, but, definitely about 30 guys on the team, I think, for my class that year, and I played with pretty much 25 of them all the way from 7th grade on, and, I love all those guys, and whenever I can see them, it's great, but we're definitely, we're missing one, my big mag fullback that was always running around back in the goal line, and blocking field goals behind me, and I miss you, Nick. So just kind of want to thank some other coaches kind of going through some other stuff. First was Steve Reeves. So he was my first coach in football when my mom finally let me play in 6th grade, even though I was only about 2 inches shorter than I am now, and probably not that, well, no, I weighed less, but yeah, so. But I decided, when I went out for football, I wanted to play fullback, because, you want to run and you want to do cool stuff. And when he asked me, that's what I said, and the first thing he says to me is, only one word, line. So, that's what started my career as a lineman. I kind of, that's where I was, and I wasn't going anywhere else. So, I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't, I weighed too much anyway to run, so that came later, but we found that out. I'd also like to thank Coach Matt King, who, my class was kind of had the interesting relationship with Coach Domsites, remembers all of that, I'm sure. So he coached us our freshman year. It was a very interesting team that we had with him. I can still remember some of the varsity guys seeing us out there, even when they were coming in for lunch, kind of asking us when we came back in after they were already in and showered and everything was already done, what the hell are you guys doing out there? The 300 hits in one practice and bear crawling multiple laps around the baseball field, and your hands don't feel great on baseball diamond. On a baseball diamond, it just doesn't feel that great. I don't know. Do they still use the freshman locker room at all, like the one downstairs? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that was we kind of turned that into our home. So pretty much, there were 20 of us in that, 25 of us in that room, and man, that was a small little room for all of us, but that was pretty much the entire time we were here. That was pretty much where we always were, even I think, didn't they try to shut that door multiple times and try to board it off, and we'd break down the thing, and it was just kind of our place, so, we loved it, so. He really taught me, really it's the entire unit matters. We'd also have quizzes when we were actually up on varsity, when Coach King was our line coach, where He really would never ask the starters any questions. He would always ask everyone else, and it was 50 hits for everyone you missed out of 10 questions. And there were times we'd have 300 in a practice, and whew, it was lovely. So also, we'd always go down to the pit and have some fun times, and even start to get some of the defensive guys who only played defense down there. And as Coach Kobe was down there for some of those times, it was a little rough down there. What did you say, Coach? I don't know if any of the linemen do it anymore, but we would always, because that was pretty much our battlefield, and we'd always go get grass there before the game and pick out a piece and put it pretty much in between right around the thigh pads, like in your shorts, and that was kind of just a reminder of what you've gone through all week, and it was always great. Also want to thank Coach Meyer. I don't know if he's still here. He only coached me for a year, but I can still remember, he kind of gave me some great advice that, I needed to turn my brain off pretty much and just play on instincts, because he said I overthought everything. With him, I only focused on defense. I backed up Nick Mangold, and, I pretty much got dominated by him any time that I went against him, because I was a sophomore and he was a senior, and he was, wow. Yeah. Swafford, was he still pretty big guy when you were even playing?
We wrestled. I think the spot was a freshman, I'm a junior.
Yeah.
I lost.
Yeah. And I still remember Andy. I mean, he was the big guy, because I think I was in 8th grade and he was a senior, and he was the stud on that team. I always remember that. So, but I can still remember coming up for the 1 week of for practice with the team. We played CJ week. This is unfortunately the years before the playoffs, so it was only 1 week when the freshmen got to come up. But actually getting destroyed in a pass blocking drill by Chris Mantica, I think Ralph's out there. So yeah, your son made sure to destroy me on a lovely play when I was a freshman, so you can thank him again. But he saw, he kind of, I knew what I needed to work on. He kind of, took me aside and said, it was really, it was a good look to kind of get out there and try, and, he gave me a lot of confidence to try to, know what I needed to work on and get out there the next year and go for that. I also want to thank Coach Kobe, one of the all-time great coaches for sure. I will definitely say he was the most unique coach I had, because he never really yelled that much. It was great. He would just kind of tell us exactly what we were doing. He'd get his point across. It was just a great practice, and I really respected for all of that. And I really respect the guy a whole lot. I got a lot of techniques from him that served me well pretty much throughout my playing career. Finally, since I have, we were just kind of discussing this, there aren't a whole lot of offensive linemen that have kind of come through, up in the classes yet. But you all linemen here should definitely consider how lucky you are. You're definitely, at a place where you are very much appreciated. I don't know if Coach Domsite still says this, but I think every year, the first thing you would say to Channel 7 to start the year was, we'll go as far as our offensive line and our defense takes us. Pretty much the exact same quote every year. And well, I mean, it's been, it's worked pretty well for you, I think. So, yeah. So, I can still remember with Coach Domsite's, I think he really appreciates us big guys. I remember he took Zach Tooney and I aside after captain's voting our senior year, and we were very disappointed. We didn't get captain, but he kind of was telling us, you're the captains of the line. This is what we need you. We know you to lead those guys, and you can kind of lead on the field just like anyone else. So it was definitely a very big help with Coach with that. But that's what it is to be a lineman. No one really ever sees what you do. They only see the skill guys succeeding, but when you screw up, everyone pretty much knows who screwed up, and you get pointed out for it. Definitely prepares you for life. Everything that you work on goes unseen a lot of times to get to the big picture of pretty much getting everything successful that you need to be done. And now that I have all the compliments out of the way, there is one major gripe I still have with Coach, and I think he knows what it is. Okay, going into my junior year, we did have the deal, if I made first team all-league, that Coach would throw me and tackle eligible pass. I fulfilled my end of the bargain. Coach never fulfilled his. Even our quarterback, Mike Savino, had actually looked at the rules for the OHSAA and designed a play that would work for me, but we never practiced or ran it. I don't know what happened, but, okay. I see. But yeah, but no, thanks, Coach. It was, no, definitely not a lot to me. Yeah, I don't know, I just think about it sometimes, I don't know. But in closing, guys, I just want to say, thank you to the board again, thank you to all my coaches, my teammates, parents, family. It's definitely meant a lot to me to get this honor, and go Knights, beat Carroll tomorrow night.
Okay, I think we got a couple guys left down there on the end of the table. Next up is Justin Hall. Justin's a 2009 graduate. He was a 3-year letterman. He made first team All GCL, first team All Southwest Ohio, All Ohio honorable mention, captain his senior year. He was on one of those 4 straight undefeated regular seasons, and he played in the first state championship team.
Hello, everybody. This is a little crazy. Wasn't too long ago that I was sitting in your seats. I feel like that's cliche to say at this point, but it's accurate. First, I'm going to say thank you to everybody that's up here. I'm humbled, honestly, and really honored to be someone that can speak on behalf of Alter High School, because they're really giving you the blueprint to be successful in life, I mean, just countless times, whenever I'm successful at something, I just think back to the things that we've done here. You kind of go through the grunt work here to be able to be successful later on. It's sort of like shooting with a medicine ball and then going and shooting a basketball. I mean, they really give you a foundation here to make things a little bit easier in life. And you won't realize it right now, but once you go out your freshman year, you kind of look around at the people around you and they might be struggling a little bit, but you guys kind of just pick up on things immediately. It really pays off in the long run. So, yeah, this is a fantastic place to be. Take your time. A lot of people are going to say that you need to hurry up and make decisions or rush into something. Sit back and breathe for a second. Listen to the band play. Listen to people scream your name. Enjoy people throwing popcorn in your face when you walk into Carroll. It's the whole experience, and you really have to keep that with you. I wanted to thank my offensive line, because without them I wouldn't be here. I wanted to thank Dr. Quinn, because without his dexterity, I probably wouldn't be walking right now. I also wanted to thank my family for reiterating all of the lessons and virtues that the coaches instilled in me back home. And if you guys don't do it every day, tell your family you love them, because that's important. The biggest thing I want to tell you guys is to make sure you're having fun. If you're doing something and you're not having fun, that's a problem. You need to be living with passion. That's invaluable. So whether it's getting through a 2-a-day, whether it's getting through a hard time when you guys are down, you need to remember that you're a team and you've got each other's back and you need to figure out how to get through it together. One thing we did was we would set up incentives for us to work a little harder. And I remember we were in the playoffs, and we were like, Coach downsides, if we win our next game, can we wear jerseys for our next practice? And he was like, what do you mean jerseys? Like, we wear jersey. You have to wear a jersey. I'm not gonna let you just wear shoulder pads. I was like, no, can we wear jerseys, like any jersey we want to? So we ended up winning our game. The next practice we came to, you had people wearing like Barry Sanders jerseys and like Emmitt Smith. It's crazy, right? But it's just little things like that. You have to keep it exciting, because this can get monotonous a little bit, you can get in a rut, but you have to remember what you're working for, The people that you're sitting next to, they're family. These are people that you're going to know for the rest of your life. I mean, Nolan Plate down there at the end looks like Shaun White, but I can say that because that's my brother in arms right there. We went through a lot. There's people that you're going to run into, maybe you haven't seen them in a while, but they're going to have opportunities in the job market. And because they know you and they know what you're about and your character, that's going to go a long way. So you guys it's hard to see right now, but I'm telling you, like, the foundation is there. all you have to do now is just be yourself, really. So good luck tomorrow. Destroy Carroll. Make them regret waking up. And go Knights.
Okay, rounding out the evening on our inductees tonight is Nolan Plate. He's a 2010 graduate. Nolan was a 2-year letterman because he transferred into school here his junior year from Alabama. He is an Excalibur Award recipient. He made all GCL, all Southwest Ohio, and all Ohio. He also played back-to-back in the state championship team from 2008 and 2009. He received the most outstanding linebacker award and team MVP. Nolan.
Thank you very much. First off, I want to say sorry for being late. Had a freshman football game I had to go attend that my brother Aiden was playing. They kicked their ass. That was great. The only thing I can say is Aiden, don't drop that pass next time. But on that note, with family, that is so important to me, and I think and going to that game and representing that family aspect with this altar tradition is super important. And I think that's something that you even after you're done here, to keep bringing back, come to one game maybe a year, to keep that tradition, keep that spirit alive. The altar family here is incredible. Coaches that here, Coach Howe, I was under him as he was coaching me. Justin, I played with him. All these coaches here that I played under. I'm sure there's little Willis is here somewhere. There it is. Yeah, he was on my altar camp team. It's incredible seeing a lot of these familiar faces, and it's so fun to come back here and kind of get to do it again, or live vicariously through you guys tomorrow night. My unique perspective, I guess that I can bring to you guys is, like Mr. Merrill said, I transferred in after after 2 years of high school, so I came in right before summer camp of my junior year. It's kind of hard to make an impression on a team like that 2009 team that was so talented, but it was amazing. I had such an appreciation for this program coming from where I came from. The program that I came from in Alabama, it was small, very unsuccessful, no tradition at all. Participation in voluntary activities was very minimal, and then coming to this program just really opened my eyes to see what an actual community can do and what it's all about. Man, I felt so included so quickly, and I appreciate that so much about my time here. I want to thank all the coaches here, the committee, my family, my mom, my dad are back there. My brother Keenan, he was a captain 2 years after I was, teammate, he was 2 years younger than me. There's Aiden as well back there after coming from his game, and thanks for coming. I guess the one story I have that is ironic with what we have tomorrow is the fact that when we first came here, my mom came up early, and she was looking at the schools and wanted us to go to Catholic school. So she looked at Carroll, she looked at Alter, she came back down and said, all right, I like both schools, you guys choose which school you guys want to go to, because I like both of them. So Keenan and I came up that summer with my dad. We toured Carroll first, and this was 2009. This was the year after they went 9-0 and played Alter, and Alter was 9-0 at that point too. And they preached about how it was such a good game, and Carroll was on the upswing, and we went and had a great time. Got to go hang out with the guys a little bit, talk to the coaches, walk around the school. We come to Alter next, and we come here. It's almost the same exact setup. We go to the locker room, and one of the first people I meet is Justin Hall, one of the captains, and I look around, these guys are just massive, man. I see, like, Chris Borland walks up, Austin Boucher, these guys a quarterback, and this guy's like, 215 pounds, and coming from my program, that was incredible. But seeing how friendly everyone was, how inclusive everyone was, how successful everyone you could tell this program had moxie, and that was a lot of what we had going. Well, a lot of the reason why we picked it was how inclusive and how community driven this program was. And with Carol playing tomorrow night and with the past history and everything that happened at Alter since I've been here, damn, I think I made the right decision for sure. But again, thank you guys, committee, all these players, coaches. Good luck tomorrow night. Have a great time. Do not take it for granted because the appreciation that you get from playing with these guys, from playing this sport, is a gift. And it's not a, you're not, it's a gift, yeah. Thanks, guys. Anyway, on that note, thank you all very much again, and have a safe drive home.
Okay, before I turn it over to Coach Downside and lay loose on you, I'd like to thank the Kevin Taylor and the AFA members. I'd like to thank the team moms for putting on a really nice meal this evening, all the support, decorating the cafeteria and taking care of everybody here this evening. Additional Dave Holman to help out on the electronics in the IT area. So with that, here it is. Head coach. No more to meet tomorrow. Oh, okay. Yeah, Ed that just stood up there will be down on the field about 5 minutes before halftime. If the inductees could go to the south end of the stadium, he'll meet you there at the corner of the stadium, then we'll get you out there at halftime. We're really pressed for time. We've got 8 players to introduce at halftime, and we've got about 5 or 6 minutes to do it. So if we can be down there timely and get out on the field, that'd be great. So with that, Coach Thompson.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Coach. Just want to thank the Knights of Gold, and we thank the mothers. I'd like for the players to thank the mothers. Round of applause. And congratulations to the inductees. It's always great having seeing the former players, former coaches come back here to Alter. I think what they share is exactly why I want the players here. And I'm not going to, I'm not speaking long here, but that's why the players are here. That's one of the big reasons we started this, in my mind, was it's not enough to say tradition. It's not enough to just toss that word out there and say, we've got tradition. You need to live up to this tradition. What is tradition? And I began to ask myself that a number of years ago. They need to be able to see tradition. They need to be able to hear it. Sometimes shake hands with it, okay? Understand what they have now. I mean, they're sitting in special jerseys. They'll wear nice pants. They'll wear, I mean, they've got a turf field. We've got a turf field. Practice, you know, both fields are turf. Locker room's still pretty bad. We can work on that as long as we don't make a donation. But in any case, things have really come along. And it's because of the foundation laid by these men and their families. The bad news for some of you is the juniors get to stay and you have to clean up tonight. Hey, don't be giving me those sad looks. Isn't that what Jack Ward used to tell you when you were doing those on the hill over there? Don't look at me with those sad eyes. All right. Ember, I'm not even going to start. All right. We are going to stand up here. We're going to sing the alma mater. Now, guys, you already owe me one sprint hit because you don't know how to behave on Thursday. So, you might be able to get that erased if you can sing it with a little more melody. Yeah, baby! Now, are we paying attention? They need to, these fellas up here need to be able to recognize that this is our alma mater. Okay? And who starts us off here? All right, John. Go ahead.
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Facing life with valor, like the knights of old.
Come on, give me a little melody.
We promise always
think that was good. All right. It's a maybe if we play well. All right. Maybe you lose that one sprint hit. Maybe what we need to do, hopefully you folks who were alums, I saw Jim Seaweed, Jim remembered the alma mater. Hopefully you remember the same words. Maybe next year what we need to do is we need to get the inductees up and you can sing it with the boys. We wouldn't put you on the spot to sing it to the group, but I think that might be a nice touch. You get up and you sing it one more time with the players. But anyway, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Like they all are, it's been a great evening. These guys do a super job putting it together. And we thank you. Junior, stick around. You fellas, if you need to get in the locker room, check with one of the coaches. Thank you for coming. That's the evening.